The day this video was recorded was Saturday, which means it was a day for another Manhunt recording. And this was one of the best Manhunt runs I've ever had, if not the best one, against 4 hunters. And guess what happened? Before the recording even started, I checked everything on my OBS. Everything was working, audio was fine, but when I finished recording, everything was dead silent. There was no audio recording. The video didn't even render the audio that was picked up, which means that the whole recording was ruined no matter how good the run is. And that basically gave me crippling depression. The beginning of the round included a lot of me running away while they chased me, and some of them decided to get away, gather some resources, and then continue chasing, and the only reason I managed to escape was dolphins. I barely escaped, and dolphins saved me, once again. Of course, after stopping to search out the structures in the ocean and down in the deep, I managed to somehow lose my dolphins. And the hunters managed to find themselves dolphins. So they basically gained on me. The whole entire path, the whole ground that I had covered, they were gaining on me because my dolphins just decided to ditch me completely. No worries though, because as always, your boy just came in with the clutch plays, turned around after landing in the land, baiting them to come out of the water and stealing their dolphins. However, the Nether portal remain already got looted by one of the other players, so I had to just pick a direction and try to swim away. I gained a bunch of ground, and I used that little amount of time I had to gather the starter resources, which was basically 4 or 3 logs, and made myself an axe in order to intimidate other players so they wouldn't just come at me with fists. It was starting to turn nighttime, and I decided to head down and hopefully hit a cave or at least an iron vein, since I already had coal, so that I could get a shield and get an advantage in 1v2 PvP fights, because I knew that 2 of them were still remaining on the spawn island. I saw a bunch of name tags floating around the caves around my cave and above ground, so I had to gather the resources silently, I had to be sneaky, and I had to be quick. People started getting several enchantments such as acquire hardware, upgrade, and stuff like that, and I started hearing people starting to dig in to the cave that I was in, so I just decided to mine straight down after I gathered up the last of the iron in the cave, and I stumbled upon a mine shaft. At the same time, a person just fell down the hole that I was digging straight down, because I usually cover up my hole with 3 to 4 blocks. That usually doesn't work, but it worked this time because the hunters were pretty new to my logic. They hadn't participated in my manhunts before, so I had an advantage to surprise them with my usual traps. Oh wait, didn't I say there were a couple of name tags? Yeah, that's right, only one person fell down. Luckily, he was the one who had the most gear, but the rest of them were still on my tail. To no one's surprise, they were disorganized and went in one by one, which means I had the chance to pick them off one by one, and I had the best gear of them all. A couple of them still stayed above ground, which meant that they had to deal with the mobs in nighttime. Some of them died, but most of them survived through the night, and this one person who chased me down underground into the mineshaft sadly lost his life and his gear. After spending a bunch of time gathering resources underground, I decided to go up and prohibit other players from reaching the point where I was right now, which was to get full iron tools and armor. They turned out to not have been geared at all because they were struggling through the nighttime and finding food in the taiga biome. So I just hunted them down one by one and I continued on my journey. I noticed a village and a lava pool in the distance in the vicinity, so I decided to first make a nether portal and then head over to the village. And when I headed over to the village, I noticed the guy who had 1 god apple and 3 golden apples. So I had to try and waste his god apple, or at least his golden apples, for the future trap that I had in mind. After running back and forth at each other and me wasting his golden apples and me nearly dying, I decided to head on over to the Nether and set up my trap. My trap was basically to build netherrack around the whole portal. Not too much, because I didn't have enough time, but just enough to trick them into thinking that my portal spawned inside a closed-in area, so I just had to build a couple blocks around it, or at least that I just built some blocks around it. They need to mine straight forward to mine out. And right as they mine out the first block and go forward, they would fall straight down to cobwebs, and I could spray them with lava or do whatever I wanted. I would have used TNT to secure the kills if I had it, but I had to use lava bucket since it was the only instant damage source that I had. However, the person who jumped down into cobwebs and was the guinea pig was the one person that had the god apple, which gives you fire resistance and a high amount of regeneration and resistance. The trap worked, but the outcome of it was that he only wasted his god apple and nobody died. That was still somewhat good because I could now finally take everybody one by one or take them in a 4v1 without a person just charging at me like a juggernaut. Only 2 people had come through the portal, so I wouldn't have to bother by running away stressfully. I could try to calmly figure out a way to take them down one by one, and the simplest way was to basically gain the higher ground, use the fishing rod to drag them up, and eventually kill them with fall damage. I tried to hunt down the other person and kill him before others could reach me so that he would lose all his progress and had to start over, but he was really good at running away and blocking me from killing him, so I eventually just gave up and started to look for an area to set up the second trap. Setting down camp on a cliff in the middle of a basalt deltas biome was the best idea I've ever had, but my prediction of their pathing was completely wrong, and it turned out completely chaotic. They got confused of where I was, but eventually it led to an epic 4v1 battle. Before I show you the whole unedited version of my epic 4v1 battle, I just want to mention that I've never fought all 4 hunters together, fully stacked, in the nether alone ever. They were never stacked all 4 in any of the previous manhunts. So this was actually completely insane to me. This 4v1 battle was one of the reasons why I got so pissed in the first place about OBS glitching out with the audio rendering, but I'm not upset because I have the recording. It's muted. I can still edit it out and put it out there. So I hope you guys like this type of editing and enjoy the full unedited 4v1 battle with some dramatic music in the background. At this point in time, all 4 of them had a setback while I just had to find myself a fortress, gather all the ender pearls, trade with piglins for possible obsidian, make myself a new portal, and get to the end as fast as possible. Oh, but you'll never guess what happened. I never found the goddamn nether fortress. I came across another bastion, got more gold, but there was no nether fortress. They got enough time to stack up and start chasing me again while I accidentally turned around back to my portal and traveled all the way back to make it easier to them to get to me. Just a typical manhunt, and everything just led to this very sad moment. After a bunch of time, they got back into the nether, got right on my tail. I got stressed out. I was tilted from not finding the nether fortress, and I eventually made a mistake, as we all do. I had my fire pot ready. When they got next to me, I would just eventually jump into lava and easily get my ass out of there, but I saw there was an edge down there, but my brain was just telling me, yo, jump, my guy, and I just automatically jumped, I guess. Now, not only was my recording muted, the ending of this manhunt was embarrassing as well. So I'm just gonna go cry in a corner. And while I do, leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. I'm really close to my 1,000 subscribers goal, which would mean that I'd have a chance of getting into the YouTube partnership program, and that would really mean a lot to me because that would be a turning point. So leave a like, subscribe, that would really help me out for reaching my goal, and I hope you have a lovely evening.